I hear a lot about what you're saying about identity politics, and I sort of bristle at that concept myself, and I've often bristled at it as a Jew a lot, having to do with identity politics. But one of the things I'm curious to hear what you both have to say is about, in terms of Obama and his movement and him as a person and a politician, is his character, because, and I thought it was really interesting, Kathy, what you said about the issue of fatherhood.
I'm not
Yeah,
saying
and-
it's bad.
no,
Father,
no,
you
no.
leave here like I heard Kathy said Obama was a deadbeat dad. I didn't say that.
I don't think you're saying that at all, but I have been thinking a lot about the choices he's made in his own life and things like that. And as a person, you know, who has studied African American history and politics and movements and has a deep interest in it, I have had a deep sort of personal excitement about this. You know, what I do see as progress. But one of the pieces that makes me feel like there's so much progress is related to my notion of this person's character. And I don't know if he's getting a little bit of a buy because of the era that we're coming out of and because of his opponents and things like that. And so he's suffering from a low bar. You know, but I do think that, you know, having nothing to do with his race, you know, when I think about Obama, you know, I think about the intelligence and the integrity and the values and things like that. And that's why I said, I think there's obviously a discussion to be had about values, and I think your points about Gaza are, you know, well founded, and so I'm with you on a lot of this
Go
stuff.
down the list.
Right.
From the poor.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
I don't know what
I
his
just
values
think
are.
I don't know what all of them are either, but I know that many of them are values that are maybe not maybe values isn't the right word, but I think there are characteristics about Obama that have been long absent from our national politicians, our local politicians, just black leaders in general. And so when I hear you raise questions about, you know, have we made progress? Are we moving forward? Have we made changes? And I spend my time in some of the toughest schools on the south side of Chicago, so I am surrounded by kids all day, every day, who are so excited about this. And when I think about that, and I think, I know you're excited, but I'm so thankful that you're excited about a person who I feel good about getting behind when it comes to things about intelligence and integrity, because you could so easily be excited by someone who is an awful guy, you know, and so I'm sort of thinking about that piece of it, and I'd just be curious to know what you think.
Well, I think the
And I'm not saying the guy's perfect or that he has a perfect character.
No. I mean, I have a kind of different point than you, right? And I want to preface this by saying that Paul Wellstone was a dear friend of mine from college until he died, okay? And I had a lot of respect for Paul. But I say this to students all the time, right? That character questions just don't have anything at all to do with anybody who has any significant aspiration to political office in this system. I mean, anybody who aspires to any office higher than a school board in a rural area, and probably not even that, right? I mean, even a water commission, right, is not going to be somebody you want to have for your brother-in-law or for your sister-in-law, right? This will not be the kind of person you want to sit across the Thanksgiving turkey from. It's just not the way this thing works, right? I mean, they aren't real people in some sense. They're like holograms, right, that are created by the forces that they think they have to respond to. Right, and you know that's what I think has been one of the crucial mistakes, right? You know, one of my greatest personal frustrations about what's happened to left politics in this country for the last 16, 18, 20 years. I mean, this notion, I don't know. I mean, I once said to a friend of mine that it seems like I forgot to set my clock back one night, and I woke up the next day, and all of a sudden the whole left had decided that we were going to elect somebody, you know, to do stuff for us. You know, I mean, we got more out of Richard Nixon, right, for the things that most of us in this room are concerned about than we got from Bill Clinton. And it's not because Nixon was a better person, obviously. It's not because Nixon cared more about us. I mean, frankly, you know, I'm sure when Clinton had his crises of conscience at 3 o'clock in the morning and tried to imagine, the image of America that he wanted to see, it was a lot closer to what most of us in this room would want than Nixon's vision, because most of us wouldn't even be here in Nixon's vision. So I'd be very careful about that, right? And as far as the intelligence stuff goes, I mean, I think one of the problems that maybe can be a benefit of being old is that I can remember the Kennedy administration, and pardon the crudeness, but all those smart motherfuckers there who conducted a genocide in Southeast Asia. We got Summers and these guys with the economy now. Smart, right? Smart doesn't cut a lot of ice with me, actually. And in fact, it can be scary, right? Because the one thing that we know is that these pricey educations, right, and God, especially the law school ones, are all about cultivating the kind of intellectual nimbleness, right, that helps you to harmonize the principles that you want to think you hold with what gets you paid, right? And so I'm sorry, but I just.